I'm going to lay it bare, today. I'm not going to hold anything back, because a lot of you, for one reason or the other, think that when we come here to make, YouTube videos about reselling, everything has been pretty much, sorted out. Everything has been fixed. We do not, go through similar challenges that you go through for one reason or the other. I do not know where that's coming from. In this video, I'm not going to hold anything back. I'm going to tell you exactly what I have been going through, selling on eBay. This year is pretty much what I consider, the worst in terms of sales. It's just, we are approaching the end of, April, and I can tell you that in fact, this month has been abysmal, to say the least. Look, I'm not going to blame the platform entirely for this. There are so many reasons why this can actually be, but I just want to tell you that, look, if you think that you are the only one passing through, a situation where your business is kind of hitting the rock on eBay or whatever platform you are selling, you are not alone, because everybody pretty much is feeling the heat. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's a platform thing. I don't know if it is a, the general situation in the world that is kind of accounting for this. But one thing I also do know, which I'm going to come to later on, is that the competition, for one reason or the other, has just gone crazy. I keep seeing, PCs being sold for pretty much. I take a look at the selling price, and I said to myself, no, there's no way this person can make a profit, even if the PC is stolen, even if the PC arrived at the reseller's address for free. There's just no way you can make a decent profit. And that, I keep seeing that all over and over and again. Just like everybody is saying, okay, you know what? Since nothing is selling, we are just going to, reduce our price and just, retrieve or recoup whatever money we have tied in the business. It's pretty much what I feel is going on right now. Of course, we are still going to come to the platform side of things. Guys, if you are having a difficult time right now on eBay, understandably, you are not alone, because I'm telling you, this month alone, I have seen that, look, this platform that used to, make things happen, that used to, generate sales from nowhere, there was pretty much no day my phone wasn't ringing, telling me that somebody has bought something. But this month, I can tell you that my phone hasn't rang. I haven't received the eBay notification for an item sold for more than 4 times. This has never happened. I have been selling on these platforms since 2013, and this is the first time I would be selling just 2 computers in a month, and it is happening in a month where I have more than, very good items listed, items that I feel like, yes, these items will be able to compete favorably, because when I go to the search tab on eBay and I search for my computers, I see that my items are well represented. Of course, I'm not playing the rest of the bottom game, but at the end of the day, I didn't change anything with my strategy. I've been doing the same thing that I was doing pretty much since like 2 years ago, because before 2 years ago, I was doing the promoted listing thing, and I realized that, computers being what they are naturally expensive items. These are not things that people, come to the platform to just buy like that. Any serious-minded person, if he or she wants to buy a computer, the first thing they want to do is to go to the eBay search tab and search for whatever computer they want to buy, and then they are naturally going to look through all the people, all the sellers of that item. They're going to take a look at the configuration, take a look at in what condition that the item is. So I noticed that the promoted listing thing wasn't really making any big difference, because once again, if somebody wants to spend as much as 600 euros buying a desktop PC or a laptop, I do not want to think that the person is just going to bump onto eBay and just take a look at the first listing and just go on and click on the like, buy it now button. I feel like people will take a look, sometimes even go as far as, refining the search, going to the second or third page just to be sure that they are getting a very good offer. See, when I realized that, then I stopped promoting by eBay listings, and it has been working very well for me. So I'm not going to say that because I totally stopped promoted listing, now my sales I cannot promote it, because I even stopped promoted this thing like 2 years ago. I was actually doing like 2%, and after some time I felt like instead of me just giving this 2% further more to eBay, it's better I just reduce my price so that a potential buyer will find it as a good deal and go ahead and buy it. So this, I can authoritatively say that it's not responsible for why my sales are down. And another thing is this: eBay has this external marketing stuff which I have never tried. But whenever I go onto Google and type, just say Fujitsu Exprimo P9010 Tower PC, I see my listing there showing that it's being promoted by eBay. So I'm not naturally paying for the external ad stuff, but eBay, because they also want people to buy stuff, they still promote my items even on Google. And because of that, I just say, you know what, I'm going to stay with just listing my items on eBay, making sure that my prices are competitive, and let eBay do its thing. And this has been working, like I said, for years. Pretty much for the better part of 2 years, things were just going normally. But this year, in January, I was like, okay, this is January. The normal explanation that people give. People are just coming from holidays. It's Christmas, it's New Year, and people are still kind of watching how the year is going to go. The budget has not been approved yet for people to begin to buy hardwares. Okay, then it was February. Things were still like, not working the way they should. And then it was March, and I was already like, hey guys, what's going on here? Yes, we still sold some good PCs, laptops here and there. In March wasn't so bad, but this April, everything pretty much just grinded to a halt. And exactly what we have been passing through for the better part of 3 weeks. I do not know what's going on. Yesterday, I still had to sit up till like 11 p.m. taking a look at my offer, searching for every item that I have listed on eBay, and seeing that, look, my items are very, very competitive. So I do not know exactly where the problem lies. Perhaps, if I search for my items myself, I tend to see them in the search. But if somebody else goes onto eBay, they don't see it. I do not know. What I need to do, which I actually forgot to do yesterday, was to actually go, search for my item using the incognito mode of Google Chrome. I didn't do that, perhaps, just to give me an idea to see if my items are actually showing up in the eBay search. It has been abysmal, guys. It has been abysmal, and the only thing that's keeping me going is because I love this business, and this brings me to the point where when you hear people telling you about you just started a business that you do not love, because the business is working, you see everybody doing it, you feel like it's a money grab, you want to go ahead and also do that kind of business. I'm telling you guys, that might not be the best strategy, because when things are happening like this, the time where people are not buying stuff, if it is a business that you do not necessarily have a passion for, you are going to give up. You are going to give up, because the only thing that has kept me going, from January, February, March, and even this April, and I still think that I'm going to keep going until there's a solution to this thing, is just because I have done this thing for the better part of 13 years, and selling used computers, monitors, laptops, desktop PCs is what I naturally love. It's my natural habitat. I've tried to sell clothing in the past, books, other kind of stuffs. I just didn't like that kind of business. I just literally fell in love with electronics. This process of testing them, buying them, bringing them home, cleaning them, making sure that they're in good condition. I just enjoy it. And because of that, sometimes I'm not really driven by the profit that I have to make for the item. I see it as a way for me to offer a very good service to a lot of people out there, because I receive the feedback from people that buy my computers, that buy my laptops. They tell me, look, this laptop is in the best condition and we are so excited about it. We are happy. Thank you so much. Those things make me happy. Of course, I still have to make profit, doing it. It's not a charity business. I get it. But when things are not selling like this, I still can go the extra mile to make sure that things work. This morning, I still listed another computer. Listing the computer in this case means deleting an offer, kind of refining it, changing the pictures, changing the titles, just to make sure that the item is well positioned for somebody that will come to my shop later on to possibly want to buy something. Guys, I'm telling you, I do not know, like I said, where the problem is actually coming from. the eBay platform seems to be working. We do not have any official, communication that, something is going on, maybe some updates, but I noticed that as soon as the live selling thing was activated here in Germany, one way or the other, sales started going down. I don't know, perhaps buyers, purchasing attitude has kind of changed, because I noticed that when the live selling thing started, a lot of people were just going live, pretty much selling these hardwares for cheap, because everybody wanted to test this function of, the eBay live selling that just came to Germany. People were selling for cheap. I also did do the same. I went live, sold about 11 solid hardwares that I would naturally have sold for very expensive, auctioned them away just to get used to how the platform was working in terms of live selling. And because of that, I wasn't alone. A lot of people also did it. Some other competitors in my space did it. I saw people selling MacBook Pros, desktop PCs, monitors for pretty much, rock bottom prices. And I keep telling myself, this is not sustainable. If you want to keep selling your offers, a PC that actually costs, 250 euros, you come here on a live auction and sell it for 120 euros, it's not going to be sustainable, because gradually buyers are just going to keep waiting for the next time, a kind of rock bottom offer will be placed on a live show, which I felt like this is not sustainable, because these IT hardwares, they are not easy to come by. Of course, they are not easy to come by. These are things that you actually need to work hard to be able to get them. And every day, the sources that we get these things from, they are also not, just there to be a charity organization to resellers. They also want to make a profit. And because of that, they are also adjusting their prices accordingly. So I don't know, perhaps, like I said, buyers' attitude definitely has changed. People are now waiting endlessly, for these cheap offers that comes up on live shows. And if that is the case, then we are actually in for a very, very long, wait. But like I said, I have also noticed that the competition has just gone crazy. Right now, the big players, the people that were naturally not active on eBay, because they're also feeling the heat. They want to move their stock. Their inventories are piling up, and they do not just want to, keep warehousing these hardwares, desktop PCs, 8th Gen Intel Core i5. They have these items because, back in the days, these items used to go, sell very, very fast. Resellers are coming, buying this stuff, and they are listing it on eBay. But now that there's a very major traffic, everybody's at a standstill situation. Even the major wholesalers, they are not thinking to themselves and saying, look, if the resellers are not coming to us, we are going to bring these items to the market. And when they talk about the market, what they're literally saying is that we're going to bring these desktop PCs or these laptops, we're going to bring it to eBay. And I have seen major wholesalers actually coming here to sell these items for pretty much cheap. And they are recording sales, and the rest of the resellers, they are just left hanging. And this is the situation that we have found ourselves. So once again, one part of this problem might be coming from the platform. I don't know, perhaps after the changes to the live selling thing, something must have happened. Another major part is coming from, buyer attitude. And one major reasons I can also attribute to this is that, the competition, everybody wants to make money, nobody's feeling the heat, and nobody wants to be left behind exactly where we have found ourselves. So guys, it is happening and it is real. eBay sales are down. There's no official communication. Once again, I am feeling the heat. Of course, I'm not complaining. This is what I do for a living. I sell used computers, and I have cost expenses waiting for me. I have the warehouse cost. I have to put gas on my car. I have to pay for, every other cost associated with the business. This is what it is. When it happens like this, what do we do? Pretty much nothing. This is the reason why, I had made some videos, the past 2-3 videos. I was just telling you guys, look, if you are having a business and you feel like everything is going to be a bed of roses forever, you might have to think again, because there are times where things are like this. So many reasons could be for it, the situation in the world and stuff like that. Have an alternative source of income, and there are so many ways you can play this game in 2026 that you are not left behind. There are ways you can play it. You can have another job. You can be a content creator on the side, even though content creation also has its own, typical situations right now. You can encourage your wife, your husband to get a job, You can cut your living expenses, which is pretty much what I am also doing. But the bottom line is that whatever situation you are passing through right now on eBay, on whatnot, on Facebook, I am also passing through it. And a lot of the resellers that you see here making content on YouTube, they are also passing through it. I had to comment on a video yesterday because this reseller was actually also lamenting the fact that this year has been just terrible in terms of sales. But once again, I'm not complaining. If it comes across like me complaining, please, this is not the intention of the video. The intention is to tell you that, this thing, slow sales, is real. I'm having the same situation, and the only thing we can do right now is just to keep waiting, keep being positive, looking for other sources of income until things can pretty much, come back to normal. I hope this video helps you. If it does, please go ahead, click on the like button, subscribe to my channel. Until I see you again in the next video. Peace out.